Diverse and inclusive is something very close to my heart, and also something very, very core to the leadership, both, I mean, across the world for Microsoft. And let me kind of unpack that a little, right? So the diversity is at all levels, you know. So it can be gender diversity, it is, you know, your geographical location diversity, it is age diversity, right? It's languages, ethnicities, education, right? You don't need to have only engineers who are designing your products. You need students who are coming from humanities backgrounds to design high quality products. So I'll basically weave in the concept of excellence around D&I, that the more you're diverse, the more you get you know, diverse talent on board, the more you can build better products, you know, more sensitive products. And maybe one element of that I would talk about is products for with accessibility in mind, right? And I'm not that old in Microsoft. I'm a little over 2 years at Microsoft, but before this I was running a product team for a Silicon Valley based startup, and we were designing products. And in a small company, it's so easy for you to kind of forget about accessibility as a thing. Right? You're always running behind goals, you're running, you're pushing, you have deadlines, but accessibility can be such a small, you know, important thing you can build, and it's unbelievable how much it can change and how what level of impact it can create for humanity, right? So if I pick up a couple of examples maybe in our portfolio, how many of you have used Teams in some form? Many of you? Okay, I would highly encourage to use that, but also to try some specific accessibility features, right? So something as simple as the transcript, right? When you do a Teams meeting and the ability to see transcript, it's not even about, you know, whether I understand, I'm speaking a different language. It's more if I'm taking a call with a person in Japan or a person in Brazil, you know, we all speak different in different ways. Our accents are different. They're hard to understand, right? So just having a transcript feature to be, you know, to be able to even have an audio version of it, to be able to blur the background so that person can actually take, you know, a call from a room maybe where there are 3 people sitting in the background because we live in small houses. So there's a whole lot of, you know, just thought that has gone in, and not just on the desktop, but also on the mobile version. So that just then becomes a way you design products, and that's a non-negotiable part, right? Another variant of that in terms of designing products could be like compliance, right? So there are organizations who fill RFPs. So when you're doing like compliance, you're doing some legal documents. Again, if you don't keep accessibility in mind, that is one piece you could be missing, just because you're not getting that diverse perspective into, you know, how you're designing or how you're actually, in this case, drafting the RFP. So this kind of cuts across no matter what product you look at. And if some of you have got a chance to see an accessibility video about gaming, where, you know, we now have a mobility toolkit which is customizable for people, for children with different disabilities. It is something, I believe it's available on YouTube at this point, but just something which is almost like gives goosebumps just for that reason, that a child whose hands are almost not functional is using their toes to play the same game is able to compete as well with a person who has hands, right? So those are just some of the examples, but then finally maybe I'll just touch upon the diverse and inclusive piece about people, right? Which is that in the organization, again, can you have a leadership team which has a range from 20-year-old to maybe a 50, 55, 60-year-old, right? Can you have students, you know, be at the table when you're doing these brainstorming sessions about the strategy of the company, right? So every single touch point that any, you know, CEO, a manager, an individual contributor has, the more diverse the opinions and the value, the more, you know, benefit that the organization can get.